Hey guys, so today's video is very fun and exciting. I have been wanting to do this since it came in the mail 2 weeks ago. I have purchased the Moriah Elisabeth Blob Universe kit. And I'm very excited to get into this kit, open it up and see what's inside. So let's head to the studio. So here is the blob kit in all of its glory. I'm opening it up for the first time, taking off the plastic, and here it is. I love it. I think the inside is super nice and fitting for what the kit is. Looks just as expected from watching the video. So I'm going to dig into this kit now. Here's the instruction manual. Everything is set up super nice and ready. I even love how it has a blob board for you to sketch out your blob designs. I think that's awesome. We have some modeling clay that I'm definitely going to be using. Then we have the Blob Universe paint set. It comes with a nice array of colors, and I'm glad she added white this time. I do have all the paint colors at my house, but not everybody may. We then have the supplies here. One of my paintbrushes came a little not ruined. The paintbrush was totally fine at the end. We have 2 paintbrushes and a clay tool, and I did not take it out of the bag for some reason, but we also have a paint pen. Here is the tool that Moriah said was her favorite. Here is the paint pen, which I have some problems with later, but we'll get to that. And then we have the varnish. I always wondered what kind of varnish that she used, and I never knew, but now I have a little bit of a sample. Maybe I can store match it. Here we have the backdrop, or like workspace. I used it as both. And now for the blobs. The way the blobs were made kind of reminded me of a rubber ducky. There was a hole at the bottom and they're hollow. I feel like I expected them to be heavier and to be kind of like clay, but they're not clay. The only reason I thought that was because I think Moriah used plaster to make her blobs because she used the mold and such, but I was not expecting it to be hollow. They were so lightweight, and because they were so lightweight, I felt like I was going to drop them as I was working on them. So this says that the kit is inspired by her Blob Universe series, and I have watched every episode of the series and I love it, and I know her goal is to get to 5,000 blobs, so that's today's goal, to help her with it by 3. So as I said earlier, I love the idea of having a blob board, but it is so small. I feel like that she could have used more pages and made the blob bigger, that way there was more space to design, but I still wanted to use the blob board, but it was so small. So I put it in a scanner app and printed it from my phone, printing 3 copies for each of the blobs. That way I had more space to design my blob and on an actual sheet of paper instead of the instruction booklet, because the instruction booklet has like a sheer topping and my color pencils wouldn't work on it. So I did bring out my markers, which I did end up using on the regular paper anyways, but that's besides the point. So the first blob I'm designing is a dragon. I wanted to add spikes, kind of like a dinosaur, but it's not, it's a dragon. Okay, I want to make that very clear. I did some color blocking of how I wanted to do it. I did the wings, the main color of the blob, and I really do like this little guy. I think he's so cute. Plan to do a gradient on the bottom, and let's get to work. So here's the blob. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. They are so cute. I'm very excited to use all my tools that everything was provided, and I'm doing my best to just use what Moriah has provided in the kit, just to show how well this kit is put together and how you really don't need any extra supplies other than what is provided. So I'm starting on the clay work, and for the clay work, the first thing I'm doing is making little balls, all the same size. That way all the little spikes on the dragon could be all the same size. Of course, we want it to be cohesive throughout. So because of course I did watch Moriah's video on this kit, which is how I knew to purchase the kit, she showed the smoothing technique of how to attach the clay to this type of material. And she said that this type of material is very clay and paint friendly, that the customer does not have to do any type of prep work, which is why prep materials are not included within this kit. But anyways, now I'm starting on the other details of my dragon, and here I'm going to be focusing on making the tail. So the tail was kind of tricky because I did want the tail to stick up and out. It was a little long, so I did have to shorten it, and I think that the tail came out okay. It's a little, I don't know the right word. For some reason I want to say crunchy, but that's not the right word. But like, you know how like it has like little rolls in it. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. If you know what I mean, then good. If not, then just know that it's not my best work. But I did smooth everything out. I do have to say these blobs were extremely easy to work with. I had no problems Oh, that's my phone. I had no problems of the clay falling off. I had no problems of the clay cracking weird. I did not have to do any repairs or super gluing anything back on, which was fortunate for my projects. But now I'm working on the wings. So for the wings, of course, I want them to be symmetrical. So I was working on both of them at the same time. I then did the same technique that I did for all of the spikes of the dragon by smoothing the clay onto the blob base and using water to smooth out the edges. But for some reason, the wings kind of they didn't look right. So I took them off, and instead of a dragon, even though I made that very clear, it is just simply a dinosaur, which some people may say they're the same, but they're definitely not. Dinosaurs were real animals that walked the earth millions of years ago, okay? They're proven in fossil record, and dragons are just mythical creatures. But whatever, we're gonna move on from that to the painting. The artist within me just loves fresh paint. Really any fresh art supply that just comes and is ready to be used. Like my paint marker still has the plastic on it, okay? That's how fresh she is. So now I'm opening up all the paint. Remember, just like my drawing, as you can kind of see on the left hand side, it's not a dragon anymore, it is a dinosaur. So I want my dinosaur to be green. I still want to have the gradient on the bottom. So first I'm just painting the whole dinosaur the light green that came in the kit. I'm not adjusting any color yet. And I do have to say the paint went on very smoothly, and this paint is super nice. I think I only did 2 coats. Oh no, I did 3. Okay. I did 3 coats. And this paint is super opaque, which is super nice. Now I'm adjusting the green a little bit for the gradient. I wanted it to be a darker green, so I added a little bit of blue. And the key trick that I've learned for gradient is to have what you want a gradient into be wet. So that's why I probably did the 3rd coat of green. It probably didn't really need it, but I added it, that way it would be easier for me to do the gradient, and I think it came out super well. Now it's time to work on the dinosaur's tummy. So I'm using yellow, and I'm actually using orange fishy from Moriah Elisabeth's paint set. So even though it did not come in this kit, I'm still using her products to complete this project, which I think is so fun and special in a way. But I'm painting on the tummy. I did orange yellow pattern. What I've noticed about her acrylic paint versus like Craft Smart or Apple Barrel paint is that the way that her paint dries, it dries shiny, whereas some Apple Barrel paints and some Craft Smart paints, they would dry sort of matte. I do like the shiny finish, even though it may not be suitable for every project, but I could still use the paint and just add like matte Mod Podge instead of shiny varnish on top. So it really just depends in knowing how to use your art supplies to make it work in your benefit. But the touch-ups on this one, it wasn't hard, but I had to like redo the gradient when I had to clean up around the tummy. It wasn't difficult, but I had to be careful because touching up back and forth, touching up the green, and then going back and touching up the orange and yellow, and then oops, I got on the green, so now I got to touch up the green again. I had to be super duper careful, but I was. I really don't mind doing touch-ups. I actually think it's super satisfying, but I still try to be as careful as I can around the edges. Alright, now it's time to break open my acrylic paint marker. Still has the plastic on it, so let's get that off and activate this bad boy. So I was a little bit nervous because I have been working on another project which is on my TikTok, and I'm painting Jenga pieces. So if you're interested, go ahead and see that. My handle is Jamie_JKJK. But I was super nervous because with paint pens, I've been having trouble with this because they tend to bleed on me, and it just really annoys me because of course that sets the project back. Like now it's bleeding, and now I have to stop what I'm doing. I have to make sure it dries completely. Then I have to paint over it again because black is super opaque, and redo the entire eye. So this is the eye. It is a disaster. The paint pen was bleeding on me, and I don't know if I did anything wrong, but it was so scary because I was like, no, I literally just cleaned up the area, made sure everything was nice and crisp, and then this happens. But I dampened my paper towel, and I was able to get most of it off, and it only took 1 coat, thank God. So I think what happened was I was pressing as I was drawing instead of just drawing. When that happens, your paint leaks from the tip and it creates like a puddle. So that's what happened on my eyes. But regardless, I think he came out super cute. I love his little expression, and his name is Jimmy. So this is what he looks like. And we go and move on to the next. So this one was an adventure. Okay, this one was super fun because as I was creating this blob using the clay, I just kept changing my mind and I'm like, no, I want it to be this. No, I want it to be that. And you'll hear it. You'll hear my thought process. So I'm opening up a nice fresh blob and then, you know, my ideas are starting to flow. We're gonna do a bear unicorn or a fish unicorn. Okay, fish unicorn, here we come. Okay, so I guess I decided to change my idea from a horse unicorn blob to a fish unicorn blob. Okay, yeah, sure. All in all, it's gonna be a unicorn either way, okay? So I'm attaching on the unicorn horn, the same process that Moriah showed, the same process that I attached the horns on for my other guy. And I'm trying to form the tail. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking of names. Fish unicorn. A fish corn. This is fish cornea. And I'm trying to make the tail look appealing to the eye, but it's just not working for me. So when I figured out I didn't like it, another idea popped in my head. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do a bear. Okay, so no fish. I guess it's a bear. Wait, was I gonna say something else? Is it even? Yeah. Bunny. Okay. Bro, I'm changing my ideas so many times. Okay, this is a unicorn bunny. I have made my decision. It is final. Talk about ideas flowing, man. I mean, as I was doing this project, it just kept changing and changing. So yes, it is a bunny. That is final. Okay, I am sculpting the ears now. I did want to do a bear, as I did say before, but I just thought a bunny would be much cuter, especially for the idea that I had in mind. So just completely scratch my sketch. I don't even know why it's there. It's in the upper right-hand corner. It should be in the trash now because it is not even remotely close to what I was going to do before. But I'm adding the inner ears to my bunny and adding some fur-like texture. And I'm also going to be adding a little hair tuft on top. Now, honestly, when this dried, it kind of looked so stupid. I had in mind that I would do like a little curl, you know, those little curls that unicorns have at the top of their head, but it's a bunny. Like, I didn't even need that. Didn't even really make sense, but whatever. Now it's time to get into the painting. So before I painted, it did look a little rough around the ears, so I did do a little bit of sanding. I did not spend too much time on this, especially since the blob base is already prepared for painting. I added a white base coat. I'm not sure why I did this. I had in mind that I wanted to do a pearl kind of look and I was going to do a whole pearl color, but I did end up doing a base color of purple, which you'll see shortly, of what I wanted to put the pearl paint on top of, because if I didn't do that, it would have taken literally a million coats for me to do the pearl. So here's my base purple that I'm going to be adding. As you saw, I did add in my own color. I added in the pearl purple, but you can tell more in the paint rather than on the bunny that I did add the pearl color in. But I did adjust the color. It was a bit too dark of a purple, especially comparing to that pearl purple that I'm going to be painting on top later. If I had that, it would have taken more coats and looked streaky. So that's why I wanted to make it just a little bit lighter. Here is the bunny all painted. This is the exact purple that I want. Now I'm going to be taking my Craft Smart purple pearl color and starting to do those layers on top. To get that nice pearl color that I want, I'm going to have to do multiple layers. So I ended up doing, I think 5 or 6 layers, and then I brought out my metallics. So this is not Moriah's paint. This is a different brand. I wanted to try to do cheeks, but I really wanted to try to do pink. I did try to do pink, but I just can't blend the cheeks out properly, especially since it's pearl. I think it's harder because the colors are not so dark, like you need to do multiple coats. So that made it more difficult to do the cheeks because then I'd have to do multiple layers of the cheeks and it just didn't look right. So what I ended up doing was adding purple cheeks, which you'll see shortly, and I added that purple tuft of hair on top. The unicorn horn is being painted white because I had to do some touch-ups because I got some purple on there. Eventually, even though it's not being shown just yet, once I did do the purple cheeks and I have the purple tuft of hair and then I'm going to be painting the unicorn horn purple, I think it all works out because it's a nice monochromatic. Now I know the white tail is kind of clashing, but I still like it. So because this is a monochromatic bunny, I'm going to do the insides of the ears
purple. I'm bringing in that dark metallic purple from that other paint set, just like I did for that little piece of hair and like I used for the cheeks as well. And overall, I do like the way that this one came out. I think it's super adorable. I'm doing some nice closed eyes with some eyelashes and a nice light, soft smile. Though this one went from a fish to a bear, then a bunny, and now it's a bunny, I think it's super cute. I did think it was missing something, so I added some metallic purple freckles on the head and under the cheeks and on the bottom left of the blob, but I do love the way this one came out. It's super cute. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into the last one. This one's the dessert blob. Okay, I have to do a dessert blob and it has to be strawberry. I had the idea of doing like a strawberry shortcake type thing. I'm not really sure what I was doing here. I did want to have some drizzle and some strawberries. This one is kind of inspired by Moriah's style. I just wanted to do a dessert blob in honor of her, considering that this is her kit. So this is the final design. Now I'm gonna get into the sculpting, opening up a fresh blob. It's very practical how this material is suited for sculpting. It makes it so much easier for the person who's sculpting onto the blob to just have an easy thing, not having to worry about sanding or prepping the surface or anything like that. I do have to say I am very, very proud of this dollop on top. It came out so cute. I did the perfect point. Now it doesn't continue to look like that. That was a bit long. I did end up shortening it. But now I'm also going to add a little strawberry on top. Now later, this is a pain in the butt to paint, but right now I'm still obsessed with how cute it looks. So I'm adding the leaves, and then I take a toothpick and I break it and I shove it in the top to make it be like the stem. I didn't record that part, but there it is. Here it is. I love the dollop. It came out so cute. Now I'm going to be prepping the color. I used the whole tube of white paint, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. Oh, there's my nighttime time to go to bed alarm. I had in my mind the perfect tan color, and I forgot that I have Moriah's paint. So I did end up using the vanilla cake color, and it's sad and unfortunate because I did waste all that white paint, but it happens when you're doing projects and it's okay. So now I am painting the vanilla cake color onto this, and it's perfect because this blob is a cake. It's a strawberry cake. So I didn't even really have to worry about making those colors. I wish I had them out so that way I could remember. But now I am drawing the strawberry shortcake inside. I want it to be like it's the inside of the cake, not like the outside. So the blob is like a slice of cake. And of course, whatever I do on the front, I have to carry on to the back. And now I'm blocking in my colors. First, I'm blocking in white, and then I'm gonna block in pink. Pink, I'm blocking in above the white and below the white. I did make a softer pink because I wanted to use the original pink from the kit to make the strawberries on the inside. So I'm taking the red and the pink and I'm forming the strawberries that is on the inside, because remember this is like a slice of cake. So I'm drawing the little strawberries now. I did sort of a heart shape and then I kind of bled the top together so it wouldn't be so pointy and look like an actual heart, but looks like a strawberry, and I think it's so cute. I then added these dots. I know they're a little bit too perfect to be on the inside of a cake, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about those little details. I then also added some white to bring in the white dollop on top because I wanted to bring in those colors together. I didn't want to introduce any new colors, but I just had to add the green just to enunciate more that these are strawberries. And then I decided to add a little drip at the bottom. I did not add the drip on the back because it really doesn't matter. No one's gonna see it, so I didn't even bother. I'm also adding a little drip on top. This is some strawberry sauce, I guess. I did feel that the original pink from the kit was a little bit too neon. So I do end up going back over it with a custom color, a lighter pink that makes it look more soft and less neon. This pink wasn't really brought in anywhere else because I did lighten the colors. So yeah. Painting this strawberry wasn't difficult per se, but I had to go slow and be very careful because of those little crevices on the inside. I did not get to all of the crevices perfectly, but look how cute this came out. I am obsessed with this one. This one is probably my favorite of the group. Once I'm done doing some touch-ups, I'm going to be doing the face. I don't want any catastrophes like with Jimmy, so I did go super slow and I didn't push super hard. on the pen, that way the pen wouldn't bleed. I had to add some cute little lashes for her and a nice little smile, and this is Whip. Now that all of the blobs are done, it is time to gather them together. They met already, they do like each other, so that's okay. We don't have to worry about any arguments or any attitude. But we are going to add some varnish on top. This is the varnish that came with the kit, and it added a nice shiny top coat on top. I have to say, this is one of my favorite projects that I have ever done. I have done a lot of projects, and this was just so fun, considering that it's from one of my favorite YouTube creators. Oh yeah, don't mind that. That's a mess, because I used my Posca paint pen instead of her paint pen to do the smile, so it kind of messed up there, but I did end up fixing it, so don't worry about that. But yeah, here they are in all of their glory. Just want to show you nice and up close. This is Jimmy, the dinosaur, once a dragon, no longer. He is super cute, super vibrant, and I love this green color so much. This is Pearl. I love her so much. I'm so proud of these guys. Like, I worked so incredibly hard on these. I wanted to do the best that I possibly could, considering that this was the kit that she worked so hard on, so I wanted to give it my all, and I'm so happy with all of these characters. This is Whip. She's definitely my favorite, and I love all of them so, so much. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed watching me create these blobs from Moriah Elisabeth, and I hope to see you guys next time in one of my other videos. Bye!